All right, welcome to Bet the Edge. I'm Jay Croucher here with Drew Dinsick. We're recording late on Sunday night after the Bills have just been defeated by the Chiefs to set up Eagles-Chiefs, the sequel. We're going to talk about both the conference championship games, then have a quick look at the Super Bowl, which is open Chiefs 1.5. Let's start off, Drew, with Chiefs-Bills, given that it just ended and is fresh in the mind. Big takeaways. Did the game change your opinion about either of these teams or any of the central characters?
Ooh. I feel like I somewhat crystallized my opinion of who the Bills are, which is maybe not fair. The degree to which they had this game inexplicably in their hands to win and could not find a way to do it felt very Bills-esque. And I lost, obviously. If you didn't hear our preview shows last week, I had the Bills in this game. And I felt pretty fortunate that they were in a position to either win outright or drive for the win late in this game. And the fact that they lost their advantage on the high leverage downs felt very reasonable, honestly. I don't think this was a misleading result at all. And the Chiefs showed a lot offensively, I thought, in this game that we hadn't seen from them over the later half of the season in particular, which is just goes to show that they have a really good brain trust who is constructing really smart offensive scheme, and they can keep it in their pocket because they don't have to execute at the highest level until the game gets to versus the Bills in the AFC Championship game at home type of situation. And I think the fact that they got to 32 points is completely reasonable. The Buffalo Bills defense looked lost, particularly in the first half of this game. And I think ultimately the fact that Mahomes and company were able to succeed with 7 targets to Xavier Worthy and lots of, kind of standout plays to Juju Smith-Schuster and Hollywood Brown. It just kind of goes to show you they came in with a plan of we're gonna beat you with our off-speed stuff, and they did. And the moments at the end of the game where the Bills could drive to tie or win, and Steve Spagnuolo dialed up some really exotic, difficult looks to prepare for, I thought ultimately kind of spelled what it is that Steve Spagnuolo does that's so good, which is like you're looking at the pre-snap, kind of matchups, and it's like, how are there only 11 Chiefs on the field? It feels like there's 13. Like these guys are everywhere. They're moving all over the place. Like it's very unclear as to who's doing what and where you can take advantage of the mismatches on the field. The fact that Josh Allen identified that Dalton Kincaid was going to be wide open and got a ball in his general area, I thought was a success on that fourth down prayer. And Kincaid dropping it it is what it is. It was a 50-50 ball. And, I think the kind of major key takeaway is that the Chiefs were so lightly tested all year. And sometimes when you are lightly tested, we wonder, like, are you ready to go when the moment gets tough, when things get tight? Are you going to have that fight? And the Chiefs' answer actually was, well, no, we have actually a lot in our arsenal that you haven't seen before. And just the element of surprise is going to be enough to get us across the line. And that was sort of the way I felt about most of this game, because the Bills didn't look like the Bills to me, and the Chiefs didn't look like what I've seen from the Chiefs. They looked different, and they looked, a little bit less expected. And just in general, I feel like the Chiefs' element of surprise was what carried the day for them. And people are going to, just glom onto Mahomes' amazing record in these moments as sort of this golden god. And that's fine. Like, he is a golden god. Like, he is incredibly successful in these moments. But I thought that a lot of what I saw was just general unpredictableness of the Chiefs that carried the day, and the Bills just not really ever feeling comfortable or ever finding their footing. And it's disappointing as someone who backed the Bills in this game, as someone who thought the Bills, maybe this was the moment for them as they were taking on a Chiefs team that I thought was rather unspectacular all year. But it turns out unspectacular all year might have been because they didn't have to be spectacular to get to the 1 seed in the AFC and host this game. And home field, I feel like in the end meant a lot, as the Bills lost none of their 10 home games this year and 5 of their 10 road games.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack. I think the biggest thing I'll remember from this game is, and it's a little obscured because the stats are fine, he had some big moments. He had some sick throws. The 4th down touchdown to Curtis Samuel was awesome. But I really thought Josh Allen kind of melted in this game and was kind of playing rattled. And he's so good that he's still going to give you a good quarterback performance. But just thought he was super sped up. I thought that he was kind of out there figuring out as he went. And he looked a lot like the guy to me who kind of melted down in that playoff game in Houston years ago, where he's just making insane decisions. The decision to Superman that 4th and short and go over the top at midfield is completely insane. Like, that's not a rational decision at all. You can't do that. And he fumbled the ball, and that could have cost them the game off of that. His first 2 passes should have been picked. He had other passes that could have been caught as well by Chiefs defenders. He had, multiple fumbles, and he made some sensational plays. But I thought that the contrast I'll remember from this game is just Allen just seeming a little bit out of it, and Mahomes, who is just the surest bet in sports, that for whatever his shortcomings, of which there are not many, and I do think that he is not quite at the same level that he was a couple of years ago, even though he is still, clearly a top 3 quarterback. Mahomes just is never going to get sped up. Mahomes is never going to be rattled. It's just not going to happen. The only time I can remember it ever happening is in the second half of that AFC title game against the Bengals, where he just seemed to completely lose the plot. And I think there were, ideas that he may have been playing with a concussion in that second half, which would be completely rational because it's the only explanation. Because outside of that, I've never seen him lose the plot. I think ultimately, it's hard to feel hard done by as a Bills better, because the Chiefs were, I think, pretty clearly the better team and deserve to win. At the same time, when they're up 22-21, driving to go up 8 or 9, and they're minus 220 on the money line, they, on 4th and short, Allen sneaks, and Allen gets the first down. I'm sorry, he got the first down.
Yeah.
The video showed it. It seemed very evident in real time. And it was one of those plays where it's like, sometimes it's like, did he get it or not? It's like, no, he got it. Let's move forward. And the line judge up the top, who seemed to have the best view of it, marked it as a first down, and then it gets called back, and then they review it. And then I don't know how they make the decision to not call it a first down when it's reviewed. And then ultimately, that effectively ends up deciding the game, which, again, I think the Chiefs were the better team, so it's hard to feel like there was any cosmic injustice, but that was just bizarre to me in real time.
There was a healthy air of, do you remember when they decided they were going to review pass interference?
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, sure. And the refs just flexed hard. No, whatever we call is right. There was a whiff of that in this game, where it was all of the public blowback about the way that the Chiefs are refereed. It felt like the refs in this game were a hair no, we're just going to do things the way we feel like it. And even if it benefits the Chiefs, and even if it's really beneficial, we're just going to lean into that. And I didn't love that. But I also was against the Chiefs betting wise, so I can't really evaluate that with a clear mind, if that makes sense. But your points are fair, and I think I don't understand how you improve the game as far as the quality of viewership and the quality of the people who really care about this from a betting standpoint. If those calls are just going to be decided in that way, in a way where you walk away thinking, man, that was a kind of the most important decision of the entire game, and it didn't necessarily feel correctly decided. But you live with the results. as we know, for everything that goes with sports betting. And the Chiefs move on, and we have to now handicap this team against the Eagles. And I'm not excited about it. But that said, it should be a good Super Bowl.
I think so. Just last thing before we move off the Chiefs and the Chiefs conspiracy stuff, like the NFL isn't rigged. The
Of course
Chiefs
it's
are not
not.
getting any benefit
Of course
off of
they're
this
not.
because the NFL wants them to. It's just, I think, two things. One, Patrick Mahomes is extremely good at drawing late contact. Like that is just, it's a skill that he has. And he's benefited from it in these big games. And so he should he makes the referees make decisions. And they've gone in his favor, and they've probably been the correct calls by the letter of the law. And it's just something that he's good at. And then secondly, with this particular call, there's no conspiracy theory. They just did a bad job in an isolated moment. They just made the wrong call. It's not because you could have made the wrong call in either direction. It's just we'll just tie into the conspiracy theories, which are I think completely without merit in any case. Let's go quickly to the NFC title game, which is far less dramatic, though it had hints of drama for a time, and lots happened in the game. I don't think there's any greater meaning really to be discerned from the game. The only thing that I thought was going to be, the thing I thought was going to be most interesting about this is if Jalen Hurts had to, really ever step it up and play from behind or show exactly, one, how healthy he is, and then more to the point, just how good is he? And we're probably going to find that out in 2 weeks, but ultimately, like, Commanders fumble 3 times. They can't stop the run. Their defense just isn't very good. The Eagles' defense is really good and did well enough to stop Daniels just enough, though not like really. Like, they just fumbled the ball. I have no idea why Dan Quinn kicked on 4th and 3 to start the game. That seemed completely, I was dumbfounded that he made that decision. But ultimately, Eagles were the better team. I mean, 55-23 looks ridiculous. Like, it's really just the Eckler fumble just put everything kind of out of control, and then the Commanders just kind of spiraled from there. But no greater meaning for me here. What about you?
Yeah, no. The Commanders looked like a team that was on the road for the 4th straight week. The defense was gassed. They had no ability to contain the Eagles' offense. And the major takeaway for me, number one, Jaden Daniels is a guy that you can freaking believe in. When we get to handicapping next year's NFL preseason, there will be zero hesitation from me that Daniels is the best quarterback in the NFC. He was awesome in this game, in the loss. And the fact that there were fumbles that ultimately put this far enough out of reach that he wasn't able to kind of elicit a comeback is a bummer. And Dan Quinn exercised his 4th down aggressiveness every other time besides the time you mentioned. And I didn't understand it then. And I certainly don't understand it in hindsight, considering how successful they were otherwise on 4th and short. The Eagles offense was the deciding factor in this game, and particularly their rushing offense. The Commanders had no answer. They were in no way, shape, or they were not in physical state to stop that unit. And I think that was the major takeaway. Obviously, home field advantage was huge for the Eagles in this one also. I think, not that this is relevant at all to the handicapping or betting community, but let's give a small hat tip to Mr. Tom Brady, who I think did a pretty admirable job calling this game, which has me a little bit more hopeful for his performance in the Super Bowl, where he will be, kind of in center stage. So enjoyed his insight in this one. Liked his kind of poking at the Giants in particular. That was a fun commentary. Seems like letting Saquon Barkley go was a giant mistake. I did not miss that one. But ultimately, the Eagles cover with ease, and this one flew over the total. I had the dead wrong read that a Eagles lead was going to lead to an opportunity to bet the live under, or the second half under. Ultimately, the Commanders getting 23 points was I think a huge endorsement of how good Daniels is, and don't sleep on these guys next year.
Yeah, and let me tell you, like, after seeing how Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen kind of had their melt moments the past 2 weeks, I think Jaden Daniels
Give me a
could fall
Daniels.
into the top
Yes.
2, 3 as
Yes.
soon as next year. Like, I think he is that good.
Yes.
Yeah, but no. Also with the Saquon thing, like, Giants didn't make the wrong decision. Like, yeah, I get that. What are they going to do? They're going to build their bad team around a 27-year-old running back? Like, all the jokes at the Giants' expense. Like, what are they going to do? Like, give him a massive contract so he can stay and the team is, 4-13 instead of 3-14? Like, just still didn't move the needle at all. But the jokes are funny. All right, watch the biggest names in sports talk, including Mike Florio, Dan Patrick, Dan Lebitard, and Matthew Berrios. They cover the biggest moments on and off the field each weekday on the NBC Sports Now channel. It is now available on Peacock and free on most streaming platforms. Learn more at nbcsports.com/now.
As you all know by now, we've teamed up with BetMGM this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all our picks, and we'll have special offers for our listeners each week. If you haven't signed up to BetMGM yet, use bonus code BETEDGE, and you'll get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code BETEDGE. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your first bet loses. Just make sure you use bonus code BETEDGE when you sign up. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code BETEDGE and get your $1,500 first bet offer today.
Okay, the Super Bowl rematch of 2 years ago. Chiefs are 1.5-point favorites in New Orleans against the Eagles. At least that is the open. The total is 48.5. The Chiefs and the over are being bet since the open. Where do you think this will land?
Well, I agree with the over being bet. This opened way too low. These two teams have been home for an eternity. There hasn't been much travel. There hasn't been much fatigue, and they both come in basically at full strength. So this is going to be a shootout as far as I can tell you. I do not think that the defenses will carry the day here unless there is something that I'm completely missing in this handicap. So I think the total ends up in the 51.5 range. And if you can get a 49.5, I think you're going to be the beneficiary of some closing line value. As far as the side goes, I don't know, Jay. I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm going Eagles here.
Oh, no.
I don't know why I refuse to believe that Mahomes' singular presence can elevate a worse team, but I didn't believe it last year. I feel like it was pretty lucky that the Chiefs got past the Niners. And I don't believe it this year. I think that the wrong team is favored. I think the Eagles are a better team top to bottom. The only difference is coach and quarterback. And that obviously is a very tough thing to come up with a fair rating on how much that matters. And I am a little bit hesitant to go just absolutely bananas here on a side. The Super Bowl is a very liquid market, and there are lots of reasons to believe.
Not yet, though.
Not yet.
Early, yeah.
Yeah, not yet. But I think once we get to some sincere betting influence, this is going to come back to a pick.
So with the Eagles, in terms of this team, when Jalen Hurts has played this year and had at least one of AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, they lost one game all season, and it was to the Falcons in a very strange game, and they lost
This is
by
week
1
2.
point.
This is basically the preseason.
They basically haven't lost since then when they've had a semblance of a real team. Now, they got blown up in Tampa in week 4, but they didn't have
Also the
A.J. Brown or
preseason.
Devontae Smith. Like, they had no receivers whatsoever, and then they lost the Pickett game to Washington. Outside of that, and it's not like they've been beaten up on, bad teams either. They beat the Packers. They beat the Rams twice. They beat the Commanders twice. They went into Baltimore and won. They destroyed Cincinnati in Cincy. And I think the Chiefs, I just don't think the Chiefs are that great. And I do think back a bit to the game against the Texans where the Chiefs averaged 4.2 yards per play. Now, it's a little bit kind of game script, kind of biased because they were, running the ball.
That's very true.
Yeah. But Mahomes still was like barely positive EPA per play in that game. I do wonder just how this offense is going to look against an elite defense, which we can be confident that the Eagles are. And in saying all that, I like the Chiefs because they have Patrick Mahomes and the other team has Jalen Hurts, and I'm not really sure anything else matters. I don't know how Hurts is going to deal with Spagnuolo's blitzes. So, yeah, give me the Chiefs for a boatload.
All right, 2 years ago, I was beating a very, very singular drum. It was like, this might be the only time in your life you get to bet Pat Mahomes at plus money in the Super Bowl. Like, this is supposed to be this big liquid market, but you have this huge imbalance of experience, blah, 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 blah. Team is rostered. I have them more impressive than that Eagles team, and it's not close. Like, this is a better Eagles team than the team that was in Glendale 2 years ago. And the Chiefs, I feel differently about. I feel like they have snuck through a very soft schedule this year. And I don't know that there is enough of a differentiating factor with experience anymore. And with as cool as Mahomes is, I think the Eagles are the right side here. And it's going to be a miserable Sunday betting against him again. And, the fact that I'm getting a plus money price is maybe the only thing that's swaying me. If the Eagles were laying 1.5, I don't think I would be standing here smashing the table saying lay the points with the Eagles. But I think the Eagles are the better team roster wise, top to bottom. And I think Fangio can deliver us the title. So we go head to head.
Yeah, I get it. I get everything. Just visualize, though, in your mind in Long Beach, California, the first time Stag sends a corner blitz at Jalen Hurts on a third. It's going to feel bad.
Yeah, I have awesome plans for Super Bowl Sunday. I'm not going to be watching the game. No. I can't put myself through this.
I'm ready for anything. Like, if the Eagles blow out Kansas City, I don't know, it wouldn't be that surprising. I'm not sure the Chiefs are all that good. If the Chiefs blow out Philly because Hurts just has a meltdown and can't play from behind.
Yeah, and Nick Sirianni's screaming at his coordinator, Kellen Moore, who I also hate. Yes, I would be like, wow, what was I thinking?
Yeah. I have no dog in this race. My dogs were Baltimore and the Bills, and they both got put down. I really would have liked to ride with Baltimore instead in this but
oh my God,
alas, because I think Baltimore were probably the best team this year. Though, to be fair, like, Lamar Jackson melted that first half in Buffalo, and that's why they didn't win, and they didn't deserve to. And Patrick Mahomes, for all the sins of this team, he is the anti-melt man. He will not melt. He won't, and he's not going to melt in New Orleans either. And I haven't seen anything good from Jalen Hurts this year. I just haven't. I just don't think he's very good.
I've lived in a world where the very unremarkable Eli Manning beat the undefeated Patriots.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think that. I don't know. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have to score more than 17 points to win the Super Bowl, like Eli did that time.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm prepared for anything. I have no strong opinion on this game. Whereas last time I knew the Chiefs would win.
I kind of did too.
I was never in doubt, even when they were plus 310 at halftime. Okay, we are done for today. Don't forget to check out NBCSports.com for more information to help you with your wager. pages. Thanks to those watching on the NBC Sports YouTube channel. If you're listening to us in podcast form, don't forget to rate and subscribe. Also a reminder to find all your favorite NBC Sports shows on Amazon Music. Just head to amazon.com/NBC Sports. From myself and Drew, we'll see you soon.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.